Chinese men headed toward the U.S. Anthony Rubin owns muckraker.com, took that video.
Check this out, I bet you didn't know this was happening. To build hundreds of miles of new barrier on land and in sea to stem an increase in illegal immigration. Also, this country building a 125-mile high-tech fence along its border. And another country constructing a 90-mile steel fence along its border. What is going on? The southern border, right? They want us to believe that it's a bunch of Mexican immigrants coming across. Anyone that's paying attention is quickly learning that it's everyone else in the rest of the world. They say fueling populism. In a country that they're saying that we're overpopulated? We're definitely not overpopulated in the US. In fact, that is not a reason to let China, Russia, Iran, Netherlands, all these people coming in. They're telling us it'll help alleviate labor shortages. Labor shortages, huh? Well, they've got some serious backlash now. Yet again, another country. I've heard 5 million and an expected 10 million by the end of the year, with the United States and even Canada targeting 500,000 of immigrants a year. Well, they've already pushed past that and they're gonna bury that number. Wait till you hear about these other countries. New signs of discord. Yep, that means open door at our Mexico border. We'll be seeing some new countries come through. What an interesting year this is turning out to be. Just crazy. Important awareness information you should know coming right up. If you guys happen to be brand new here, welcome to our awesome community where we go over prepping tips, emergency preparedness how-tos, and most importantly, we go over like news-related awareness topics, stuff you should know about. If you find value in that, be sure to hit the notification bell so you guys can stay up to date. Let's jump into this one.
Hitting an all-time high. And now, in an effort to curb it, President Biden and DHS will now allow some Central Americans and Colombians with family here to enter legally. So if you have a citizen, you're from Guatemala, if you're from El Salvador, Lieutenant, you can now come here. Is that correct?
That's correct, according to this policy. But Brian, this is going to be a complete disaster.
This photo right here is from Wall Street Journal. Migrants wait at a reception facility in southern Italy. The country recently elected an anti-immigration coalition. Like I said, the rest of this year ought to be pretty interesting. But it's insane, like countries like Canada targeting about 500,000 people for the year, but it'll be a lot more than that. Polls across affluent countries show a jump in opposition to immigration, including in places that have been most welcoming to newcomers. Roughly about half of the Canadians think that the government's new target of about 500,000 immigrants a year is too many in a country of 40 million people, while 3/4 worry the plan will result in excessive demand for housing and health and social services, according to a poll by Lager, a Montreal-based research company. And that's just it. When we're already circling the drain, we're gonna bring in millions of people, give them cell phones, give them medical insurance, give them housing, when the people we already have are struggling with that. All of our already assistance to the people that so-called need it is being slashed. Yeah. Are we gonna have a housing problem? Yeah. We're definitely gonna have a housing problem. Are we gonna be able to afford all this extra health care? No, not even a chance. But I'll tell you what, the old guys at the top will probably pull that money out of their you-know-what also. And we'll go even further in debt than we already are. Like I said, gonna be a really interesting year. Further down the article, it says American satisfaction with the level of immigration into the U.S. declined to 28% in February, the lowest reading in a decade from the 34% a year earlier, according to Gallup polls. Well, of course, like we want more people camping on the streets, using up our funding and putting our already poor people even poorer. We know these voters and Americans aren't taking any money off the top. Someone's taking a big cut on some funding, I'll tell you that. And in France, which has been convulsed by violent protests after police took out a teenager of North African origin, recent polls suggest the French far-right National Front leader Marine Le Pen, who favors tighter rules on immigration, could win the country's next presidential election. I don't know anything about that person, but by the sounds of how that's written, might be a good thing. So what's going to happen? Well, in addition to illegal immigration, it's going to weigh on wages and social welfare systems. Illegal entries across the Mediterranean into Europe and from Mexico to the US have surged to record levels in recent months. I'd say record levels over the last 2 years. Remember that wall that we were building that may have helped? Well, someone else is picking up on building a wall. Check this out. Europe is expanding efforts launched before the pandemic to build hundreds of miles of new barriers on land and sea to stem an increase in illegal migration. Finland is building a 125-mile high-tech fence along its border with Russia, while Greek Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis said in March the country would complete a 90-mile steel fence along its border with Turkey to prevent illegal crossing. Someone else mentions you have a strong mismatch of people that are immigrating over and the demand and workforce that we actually need. You can definitely see their point in that. The article reads on. I'm going to skip a bunch of paragraphs. I'll leave a link down in the description below. But it also says, with all that, Florida governor and GOP presidential candidate Ron DeSantis signed a new law in May that further criminalizes undocumented immigration into the state. Agricultural and construction industry leaders say that the law will intensify labor shortages there. I guess people that were on government assistance and food stamps that could have had a job better be getting off the couch and going and getting some of these field agricultural and construction jobs. I could give people a very long speech on the word enabling. Here in this photo, you can see protesters in Tampa demonstrating against the state's new immigration law. Lady holds a sign that says immigration brings more flavor. Don't even know what to say there. You guys can tell me what you're thinking down in the comments. And this is what it's gonna look like, guys, right here. Suitcases last month sprawled into the street outside a central London hotel where authorities had arranged for refugees to be accommodated. You see, that's how it looks when you're letting way too many people in with nowhere to go. And like I said, a lot of these people are getting premium hotel rooms. They're writing off entire hotels, filling them up with these illegals, and you'd think that they'd pump the brakes on letting them cross. This right here is what you can expect to see more and more of towards the end of this year. I can tell you, at this rate, it's gonna get hairy. Tons of craziness going on with immigration, way bigger than just your little southern border situation down there. This is global, and like Europe, when you see a free door, you're living in a country that is not good, you're running. And when things aren't regulated and controlled to the country's best interest, like in our situation where you got money mongers, all they see is funding opportunities. That's just my opinion, and I think it's probably a pretty good one. Let me know what you guys think. A lot more going on, like over 50% of the food in grocery stores coming from a lab. Yeah, I got a video on that right up there if you guys missed that one. You want to stop eating that meat that's probably coming from a lab? You can watch this one right up here if you missed that one. Just trying to bring you guys all a bunch of good awareness so this craziness doesn't catch you off guard. Keep prepping, keep learning, keep doing. We'll see you guys on the next one.